with gin joints and all.
Too busy living.
I watched sea beams.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Dax for Reels, where I critically evaluate the best movies of all time. Cave Videntium, viewer beware. There are plot spoilers in this video. Plot spoilers, alert. When I say the best videos of all time, I mean those that are considered very, very good or the best of all time, you know, perhaps by regular moviegoers and by critics. And, you know, I mean like above 75% on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb. So I'm going to be doing those. Occasionally there may be an outlier that I consider really, really good that's not on that list, but that probably won't happen very often. This is a video stating what my 8 rules are for movie making, for great movie making. And they are a bit of an outlier themselves. I mean, it's mostly like the award ceremonies, but one of them is for script writing for award ceremonies. Well, I break that down into story, drama, writing, and characters, because I think each one of those is very, very important to talk about, very important to a movie. So those are for the 4 categories. But anyway, the 8 categories that I am going to talk about here briefly in this video are story, drama, writing, pacing, characters, acting, directing, and musical score. Okay, so those are the 8 that I consider the most important for a movie. Now, there are several categories that I'm not going to be talking about too much specifically in each of my critical evaluations, each of my reviews of movies. And that's like cinematography, makeup, what else? Cinematography, makeup, and editing. Part of the reason for that is I'm not an expert on those things. It's a bit out of my element. I think I can see that, and I'll probably talk a little bit about each of those. For example, the cinematography in Lawrence of Arabia is stunning, so I can obviously say that. But the one reason I'm not doing those categories is because they are directed by the director. The director says, I want this shot, and the cinematographer, obviously, who's brilliant, you know, in Lawrence and many other movies, does what the director says phenomenally, sometimes even better than what the director said. And there's a reason for those categories, and for makeup as well, costumes, editing, etc. So I'll mention those when I see something that really stands out. But getting to the 8 categories. So, you know, you need a good story in a movie. It needs to be something that it needs to say something compelling. You need to be compelled by the story itself. There's some meat there. You want to stay with it. It has drama and surprises. It has humor, and it has this is going to be controversial, it has a happy ending.
Oh, but anyway, Toto, we're home. Home.
Yes, I do not think a movie can be great if it doesn't have a happy ending. I know that's controversial, but if you've got a child that's going to a racetrack to race, and they're running, they're in the lead, they're beating everybody, beating the other 7 competitors to the finish line, the checkered flag, whatever. And right before they get there, they stumble, fall, and crack open their face, and everybody else beats them, even though they were winning. They tripped. That's not a happy ending. I mean, you could be happy up until the whatever point they fell, but that's not a happy ending. You're not going to go and say, oh, you ran a great race. No, you're not. I mean, you're going to say, well, you did good, but are you okay? But it's not going to make you happy. A movie, when you walk away from it, walk out of the theater, walk to the refrigerator after you watched it in your home, it should make you feel good. And a lot of the critics poo-poo that. They say, no, it's not real life. Well, if I want real life, I'll watch a goddamn documentary. Okay. So, examples. An example of a good happy ending is Shawshank Redemption. I mean, that's just fantastic. An example of a bad, unhappy ending is Braveheart. both of those movies are phenomenal stories. Great storytelling, compelling. It's got all the stuff. But to have a guy about to get chopped up and he yells out freedom. No, he's about to die. No, I mean, there's not going to be any freedom for him. He's the guy you're rooting for. So no. All right, so number 2 is drama. Does it have twists and turns? Does it keep you on your feet? Are you surprised? There are lots of big moments in the drama. You're riveted. What's going to happen? It's clear about the drama itself. It's clear about what's at stake. Or if it's not clear, it's so compelling that you hope it will be clear. Memento and some others. And comedy. Okay, so this is a phrase that I use a lot. Comedy needs drama. A comedy movie needs drama, like Wedding Crashers. It's great drama, and it accentuates the comedy. It makes it hilarious. I'll laugh my ass off on that movie. Comedy needs drama, and drama needs comedy. In a high-end, high-stakes drama, you need some laughter. You need some relief, comic relief. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby. I mean, it's funny. Let you take a breath, get back to it. So there should be comedy in every single movie should have comedy. A scriptwriter that doesn't put comedy in there doesn't know what they're doing. And a happy ending, to get back to that. Doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, so that's drama. So third one is writing. Should be fresh, not stale, as it says on the screen in front of you. Fresh meaning it should be crisp. It should fit the characters. And there should be some cleverness in there, where you kind of get a smirk on your face, or you're like, oh, that's good, that's clever. It should treat the audience with respect. That's what good writing does. It takes our brains into account. It doesn't beat us over our craniums with the writing itself. No cliches. Bad writing is cliched, unless the cliches are supposed to show a character and how boring they are, and essentially makes them a throw-off to where they can either die or something bad can happen to them. Giving them some sort of line like, you're going to regret saying that. How many times have you seen that in a movie? I mean, every time I hear that, I'm like, it's a groaner, So good writing in a movie is something like Good Will Hunting.
You owe it to me. Because tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'll be 50. And I'll still be doing this shit.
Terrific writing, and of course the two boys won a script writing award for that, as they should have. Matt Damon and what's his name? I'll get to it after a while. And then sort of bad writing, not very good writing, is Titanic.
You're distracting me. Go away.
I can't. I'm involved now. You let go and I'm gonna have to jump in there after you.
I mean, it's just got so much just like groan type writing. Okay, so the fourth one is pacing. I mean, you need to have purposeful scenes. The pacing on the movie, it should move. It should move. Each scene should be just the right amount of time, imparting just the right amount of information. Purposeful scenes, movement in dialogue and or action. Not boring. I mean, I know pacing sort of suggests that, but that doesn't mean that it can't be slow. As long as the slow is meant to be slow. And a great example of this is Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. What is that first scene? Maybe the longest scene in movie history. Y'all let me know.
But you're aware of what they call me.
I'm aware.
What are you aware of?
That they call you the Junta.
Precisely.
18, 19, 20 minutes with the Nazi and the farmer and his daughters and the Jews underneath the floor. I mean, come on, that is just stunning, riveting. It's a super long scene, and yet it's riveting. I mean, I guess you could call it slow, but the dialogue is fast. And the acting, superb. Okay, so anyway, that's an example of short doesn't necessarily mean great. Long can mean great if it's done right. And Tarantino does that a lot, actually. An example of horrible pacing, maybe the most horrible pacing in movie history, is 2001 Space Odyssey. Endless video of crafts, spacecrafts in space, landing. Endless video of apes jumping around. Just in 9.5 minutes psychedelic tour down into Jupiter. I mean, it's just, it's so bad. It's yawningly bad. Anyway, so pacing. So characters, number 5 is characters. You got to have a protagonist in a movie. Every movie has to have a protagonist. It's got to have a main character. And this is going to piss off a lot of critics also. You got to like the person. I mean, maybe not in the beginning, but eventually you got to like the protagonist. And happy ending. Has to be a happy ending. There has to be a good outcome to that person. It could be in question all the way up until the last seconds, but it's got to be a happy ending. You got to walk out like you're walking on air when you're leaving the cinema or going to the refrigerator. So they got to be likable. So obviously characters need to have one of two things. They need to either have growth, their character grows, they learn, they stop fucking up or don't fuck up as much, or they are overcoming obstacles. They are achieving what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to figure out what they're trying to achieve, but there needs to be something going on there in the character. And of course, they need to be intriguing or interesting, or both. So I think a great example of that, intriguing and interesting, is the main character in Grosse Point Blank.
Relations theory at this point.
I don't want to hear about the theories. I want to hear about the dead people. Explain the dead people. Who do you kill?
That's very complicated, but in the beginning, it matters, of course, that you have something to hang on to, a specific ideology to defend, right?
I mean, and how about that name, Blank? And, he's an assassin, but, he goes back to the high school reunion. He may be falling in love again, starts wondering whether, he really wants to be an assassin, kind of starts wondering about that ahead of time, and now he's pretty sure. I mean, that whole thing where you've got drama and character development is exquisitely done in Grosse Point Blank. One of the greatest types of movies of all time. Exquisitely done. Bad? What movie does it really horribly? Where you don't care about the protagonists. You only meet the person in flashback scenes, which can be done, but there's no growth or obstacles, not interesting or intriguing. So it doesn't fit any of the parameters of this rule, and that is Citizen Kane again. Yeah.
I sympathize with you. Charles Foster Kane is a scoundrel. His paper should be run out of town. A committee should be formed to boycott him.
Yeah, horrible movie. It's considered the greatest movie of all time by untold numbers of critics. They're all full of shit. It's a masterclass on how not to make a movie. So, I will eventually review Citizen Kane. So I'll have more to say about that when I get to it. Acting. I mean, acting is one of those almost, it's one of those difficult things to describe. You know it when you see it. Like the Supreme Court said about pornography. It needs to be charismatic. It needs to be sympathetic. You need to really care. The actor needs to be so good that you care. Or if you're not supposed to care, you don't care. And the obviously compelling. And they don't seem like they're acting. They're not acting. They used to say that about Brando. It was like he wasn't even acting. And many other actors, obviously, a lot of great ones. And one of my examples of that is Casablanca. The acting is extraordinary in that movie by all the actors. Exquisite acting. Even the sub-characters. But Humphrey Bogart is just amazing in that. An example of bad acting is Alexander. You know, it's just not good. And part of that is directing also. But, so getting around to number 7 is directing. And the director, I mean, there's so much. The director is the movie. You got a bad director, you're going to get a bad movie. So a good director can turn sort of a modest script into a good movie. But the things that they're really good at are POV, point of view. You know, are we getting the right close-ups? Are we getting the right view from on the action? Is there a good switch up on scenes? Is there good pacing? Is the system, have they instructed for good cinematography? Are they allowing things to play out properly? So, are they getting the most out of actors? And is there realism? So the director is super important. And that's the directing. So I think a great movie on that, on pacing, getting the most out of the actors, and turning a jumble into a brilliant pastiche is Snatch.
How big are you? Hey, kids, how big is he? Big man, that's for sure. Hey, man, come and look at the size of this fella. Best your back's a little, concentrate.
By Guy Ritchie. Brilliant movie. And Brad Pitt, by the way, should have won an award for that. And then one that is, I think, horrible is Hook. So I won't go into that right now. Just not good directing. So the last one is musical score. I'm doing this one because the music actually means a lot in a movie. And in a lot of movies, it means a lot. And a lot of times, really, they just need to have quiet scenes. No score. That's not done enough. But if you're going to have a score, it needs to emphasize the grand scheme, the grand feeling of the movie. And then the score needs to accentuate a scene, the mood of the scene, and then the emotional texture. It should add to the emotional texture of the movie and of the scenes. And of course, don't interfere with the scene or the dialogue or the movie. Don't interfere. Don't overplay the score. So those are the things. I think one of my favorite scores of all time was Vangelis for Blade Runner. Just extraordinary, giving that sort of ambient, atmospheric feel to Blade Runner. And another favorite of mine is Princess Bride, which was done by Dire Straits. Oh my God, I'm going to do a brain lock on him. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so brilliant. And then, of course, Lawrence of Arabia. That's just phenomenal. John Williams did a lot of good scores also. But anyway, so each one of my movies is going to be rated 1 to 10, 1 to 10 popcorns, 1 popcorn being the worst, 10 popcorns being phenomenal, perfect, close to perfect as you can possibly get. So that's going to be my popcorn rating for each movie. And I really look forward to seeing y'all, seeing your comments. I hope you enjoy the reviews, or if you don't, even if you do or you don't, please leave comments, and please let me know if there's some movies that you'd really like to see me review. Okay, I'll catch y'all soon. Catch you at the movie. Catch you at the theaters. Bye now.